What's up, YouTube? Let me holler at you biased Richard Porter fans. Man, I swear you Richard Porter fans are worse than these outpost stands out here. He could do no wrong in y'all eyes. Majority of y'all don't even know nothing about Rich Porter. Y'all fell in love with Mitch from Paid in Full. Y'all don't know nothing about Rich Porter. And what I mean when I say that is watching a documentary about him just won't do it. You have to do the homework. Now, Mitch from Paid in Full is the fictional character. Yes, he's supposed to be based off Rich Porter. The movie direction was to make Mitch a character that the viewers love. Like, there's nothing to hate about the character. Rich Porter and Mitch are two different people. And tonight, we're going to compare the two. Now, in this video, I will be mentioning some things about Rich Porter that's going to have some people upset. And I'll let y'all, the viewers, decide if y'all want to believe it or not. All I have to say is, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not here to put Rich Porter down or judge him in any type of way because he was a kid when he passed at the age of 24. But let's get into it. See, in the movie Paid in Full, when we first was introduced to Mitch, he was already on the The viewer didn't get to see his start and the people that came before him, but it was irrelevant when it comes to the movie. He was the man. He was betting money with Rico. He lost and he couldn't cover the bet. Well, that was Rich Porter for you right there. He asked Ace to borrow some money. That was Richard Porter. You know how many times Rich had to borrow money from AZ and them? And there's nothing wrong with borrowing money from a friend because I'm pretty sure he lent out money himself. And before all of y'all jump in the comments about his money, I just want y'all to know that I'm not saying Rich didn't have money. But what good is it when the money is coming in the front door and leaving out the back door? He didn't have much of a run to begin with, but he did spend almost his entire run chasing money. And I'm not talking about the term everyone used when they say I'm out here chasing this money. I'm talking about being down and chasing money, trying to get back. You're chasing the money, but the money is running from you. But yeah, people did say he was the worst with money. And I don't agree with people holding him accountable for being reckless with money. They wasn't working 9 to 5s. They was youngins bringing in that fast money. You know, they was getting real reckless and they didn't respect it as much. We all saw that when them PPP loans and all that other stuff hit during COVID. Now that was the Paid in Full summer. Everyone was getting it, but are now broke, unfortunately, because all people did was buy cars and run in those designer stores. But anyway, Rich had some good men around him that played a huge role in his success. Like they really wanted him to win. Like it was very genuine. Like you had LA, which we talked about in my last video. LA gave Rich that boost he really needed. LA was getting to $1 million while Rich had a summer job cleaning. And this was way after selling fake hash was played out. Rich started to hustle out on Amsterdam, but the real money was on the hill. Rich was catching $5 and $10 plays compared to the $50 and $100 plays LA and them was catching. Now, and I received a comment on my last video stating that Rich Porter purchased his first BMW at the age of 15 with straight cash. Now, that's lit. That's fire. Pretty impressive for a 15-year-old. Not bad. But according to Dubov's book, it was actually financed. Yeah, it was said that he purchased his first BMW from a place called Touch of Class. Rich saw LA with his car, and he couldn't wait. He didn't want to grind it out, so he took a shortcut and financed it. Now, you might ask, how did a kid finance a car? Well, it was some white guy that was helping hustlers finance vehicles. Some hustlers actually stopped paying them. They stopped paying the guy, and the guy was looking for them dudes all over the city, and Rich was one of them. But eventually, LA introduced Rich to some real money, so Rich didn't have to fake it till he make it anymore. And it wasn't bad because he was a kid. A kid faking it till you make it, that's cool, you know? You know, you got a lot of old heads out here doing it, but yeah, it's cool if you're a kid though, man. So, we can't come at him for that. But another situation is when Rich went away for that burner case. When he got out, AZ was the man. So he got out to AZ being the man. So AZ getting that plug was one of the best things that happened to Rich. With them being cool, Rich was able to get anything, and he was immediately put in a good position. So that was another good boost Rich Porter got from one of his homies, which was good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, in the movie Paid in Full, it shows the love Mitch had for his little brother. And I'm not doubting that about Rich at all. Who doesn't love their little brother? He wanted nothing but the best for his little brother. And in the movie, Mitch wanted his little brother far as possible from street life. The character Rico told Mitch that he needed to put a medallion around his little brother big his head. The look on Mitch's face explained how he felt at the moment. Now, we all might talk like this to each other in the streets, but when it comes to my brother, leave him completely out of it. It showed how overprotective he was when it came to his little brother. Now, when it comes to Rich Porter, there's whispers that he tried to groom little Donnell into a hustler. Now, wait, that might sound crazy. Y'all probably like, why would Rich do something like that? Well, the whole paid in full era, you had kids leading kids. So if you're going to look at Rich Porter as the bad guy, you got to look at Doo-Wop, LA, and all those other hustlers influencing each other into that life as bad guys, even though their intentions was truly to help each other. Come on now, who doesn't want to get fast money and be that guy that everyone thinks cool? Who did you think Donnell looked up to? It wasn't Apple. Donnell walked around and went to school with gold on. Who do you think he got that from? Kids don't do what they're told, they do what they see. And he saw all the hustlers that came before them. Now, before you get in the game, you're promised an updated lifestyle, the cars, the woman, the status. But the most important information is the things that they don't mention. The death, the backstab, and the drug game will have your own mom stealing from you. Another thing most people don't know about is the multiple hospital trips Donnell had to take due to exposure while Rich was in the house cooking work. Now, we all know that can get into your system. Now, did Rich mean to harm Donnell? Absolutely not. Now, I did say multiple trips because that's what I heard, but I don't believe it was multiple trips. It might have been just one honest mistake. Now, Mitch from the film was very disciplined. He folded his clothes before he went to bed every night. He damn sure wasn't the type to cook work while his brother was there, especially with his uncle lurking around. He just wasn't the type to do dirt where he slept. Now, Rich had some sort of discipline. I heard he went in before dark for some reason, but it probably was a good reason. Some say he didn't drink or smoke, but I did see a few pictures with a bottle in his hand. He might have sipped champagne, now and then once in a while, or it probably was just for the pic. Now, when we talk about these hustlers, or watch a documentary, or even read about them, a number always comes up. And that number is always how much money he was making a day, a week, or a month. Now, what are we going to do to make a story interesting? We're going to exaggerate. Some people say he was making 30K a day. Some say he was making 50K a day, which many people don't take certain things into consideration. For example, he had to have some help moving that product, so he had to pay his workers. He also had to pay the plug, so he wasn't seeing that 30 to 50K y'all talk about. Now, his operation might have been averaging those numbers weekly, but daily? No, I'm not sure about that. Now, when it comes to the Preacher crew, they all seem to just throw each other under the bus when it comes to the kidnapping. Cuff claims that he didn't know about it. Preacher's son blames Apple. Apple blames Preacher and Malik. Everyone just threw each other under the bus. Now, I've heard many stories, but tonight we're going to stick to one. I heard Apple was supposedly holding work for Preacher, and Rich ended up taking it, but of course, Rich Porter fans won't believe it. But the Preacher crew decided to kidnap Richard Porter's little brother, assuming Rich Porter could come up with half a ticket. Now, they might have charged him for the bricks he supposedly took and add tax to it, but it was something that made them assume he had that type of money. We're talking about $500,000 now. A bunch of flossing would have people think that way. And I've heard many stories of men getting tied up and having no money to save their own life. Now let's talk about it. If Rich was really getting it like they say he was, then why was he grinding from behind? And even if he was bad with money and reckless with his spending, he would have still had money just sitting. You could only spend so much money. What was all the money going towards? He didn't have any properties or nothing. And watch people in the comments say he had condos or something like that. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the numbers, people. People claim he was seeing 30K a day. Now that's at least $900,000 a month. So if he was putting up those numbers after paying the plug and his workers, he would have got Preacher his money ASAP without even feeling it. Now with 30K a week, he's only looking at $120,000 a month. And that's only counting 4 weeks. After paying the plug and his workers, it wouldn't have came close to $250,000, so those numbers make the most sense. And I know some people might say he was hesitant after he saw the finger, and he just thought he wasn't going to get his little brother back. But just to give up and accept the loss of someone that's a part of your heart, at that point, the money, any risk is worth it. But he still received a couple keys from Frey and a couple dollars from people, so coming up with that $200K was possible. But I don't care about how much money the guy had. I just know the story about him not having the money to pay Preacher. I don't care how much money his sister or his best friend said he had. Money doesn't add or take away from his character. He might have been fly and a phenomenal hustler. At the end of the day, he jumped off the step and went and got it. I'm not taking nothing from the man. We're going to continue to hear his name in stories, even in music. We will continue to hear his name probably for the next 100 years.